So, it's been a day since RGG Studio revealed the newest trailer for Gaiden, and frankly, I've been replaying said trailer over and over in preparation for this brief script. A ton of stuff was revealed, so if you were out of the loop on any of the pre-release footage from earlier, I'd recommend checking these two videos out first. As for everyone else, we will now go through the latest info to give a proper synopsis of the story and the confirmed side content. Spoilers are ahead, so beware. We'll start off with the extended story trailer, which showcased all of the characters that were teased on RGG's official Twitter account, such as Nishitani III, Shishido from the Watase family, Hanawa from the Daidoji faction, etc. It appears that Gaiden will see Kiryu being forced into a conflict between the Daidoji faction, which he is currently working under, and the Watase family, who need his help for the events that occurred in Yakuza 7. In the new trailer, Joryu was given his second ever assignment, after escorting that one girl from the trailer from 2 months ago. The second assignment pertains to providing protection for a smuggling operation. However, the cargo they had to protect turns out to be a decoy, and the people who emerged from the containers wound up retaliating against the Daidoji faction. The leader of the attackers, wearing a Hanya mask, was revealed to be Shishido, a lieutenant of the Watase family. Keep in mind, we will definitely see him many more times after this. Sometime later in Ijincho, Shishido attempts to abduct Hanawa, who is Kiryu's main contract with the outside world since joining the Daidoji faction. And while Kiryu's first impulse was to help Hanawa, even leading to a boss fight with the Watase lieutenant, Daidoji's ruthless manager Yoshimura forbids any further involvement in the matter, even threatening Kiryu's kids at the orphanage should he intervene. But naturally, Kiryu will be forced to intervene, as was shown when he met up with someone at the bar called Survive. Here, another member of the Watase family, that being Lieutenant Tsuruno, threatens Kiryu to get involved in this whole mess, and also threatens to harm his family should anyone else get involved. So essentially, Kiryu is in a lose-lose situation, but he still decides to indirectly help the Omi alliance in this specific case. While the reason for the animosity between the Daidoji faction and the Omi is yet to be revealed, it's safe to assume that Shishido's actions have caused trouble for both sides, as he seems to be operating on his own in many of the featured shots. This entire mess is how Kiryu winds up in Sotenbori, meeting the informant Akame and getting involved with the castle and Nishitani III. Keep in mind, Nishitani also did the Akira slide. This is very important info. Anyway, as it turns out, the Omi alliance needed Kiryu's help in the infamous dissolution of the Omi and the Tojo clan that occurred during Yakuza 7. And this should be the point where we all collectively go, "Oh, I know how this ends." After all, we've played through that very segment ourselves as Ichiban. But it turns out that the best segment of that event was what happened after Ichi passed out, because in front of the Omi headquarters is where we got one of the best tag team fight lead-ups in the series, between Kiryu, Majima, Daigo and Saejima, with Watase and Tsuruno recovering behind them. Lastly, we cut away to Kiryu presumably saying goodbye to the Daidoji faction as he has one last conversation with his old acquaintance Hanawa. We can deduce that the last thing that Kiryu needs to do before leaving for Hawaii would be to get a new haircut and rescue Ichiban, which was shown in the brief trailer for Infinite Wealth, aka Like a Dragon 8. Okay, so with all of that in mind, how much of Gaiden's story is still a mystery to us? Well, frankly, a decent portion of it, and that's saying something. We obviously know how Kiryu got to the Daidoji faction and that he had to undergo rigorous training to be ready for the assignments, even having to mentally and spiritually abandon his family in the process. But beyond that point, much of the story and motivations for key characters are unclear. We don't know who ambushed Kiryu during the first assignment in what was likely Kamurocho. We have no clue what Nishitani's motivations for attacking Kiryu are, beyond the trademark Nishitani lunacy that was exhibited by the originator of the name in Yakuza 0. Most importantly of all, we don't know who Kiryu and his old Tojo mates will be facing off against at the Omi headquarters, It could be disgruntled Omi rejects, the Daidoji faction, or the Kijin clan in its entirety. For a game that was often touted as being much shorter than an average Yakuza game, to have this many major reveals and still leave us pondering what could happen is fantastic. If there was ever any doubt as to whether or not this game would be worth your money, I'd argue that this very trailer finally had everyone on board. And now, we'll do a brief overview of the newly revealed gameplay segments. Some of these were already listed in the product description, but this was the first time we see them in action, and they're all amazing. The biggest addition is obviously the battle arena. It was shown to have a UI similar to the Clan Creator minigame in Yakuza 6, but the big difference is that the person who you put in charge of your quote-unquote hierarchy seems to be fully playable in the arena. We've seen footage of Majima and Saejima in particular unleashing hell in the cage. And considering the description of the pre-order DLC that was often advertised, this makes a lot of sense. Also, yes, it appears that even Sugiura is present in the character select, which can either mean that we're getting a Judgment 3 announcement at the next RGG Summit, or that we'll perhaps have more instances of subtle cameos in the game, akin to Zhao appearing in Lost Judgment. Either way, I'm all for it. Next up, we have the live-action cabaret, which is exactly as you'd imagine, essentially being a further evolution of the minigame from Yakuza 6. Considering the fact that you can actually witness Kei-san exercising in the minigame, that's pretty much all the incentive you should need to play it. On the other hand, something that completely shocked everyone was the fact that Kiryu's appearance is now fully customizable. We finally have that mechanical culmination of the years we spent playing the Hostess dress-up minigame. Without going too in-depth on it, the most important things to note are that, number 1, you can make Kiryu look like his voice actor Kuroda Takaya, number 2, he can wear the good old Majima construction hat, and number 3, he can be barefoot. Do with that info as you please. As far as karaoke is concerned, we were shown footage of a new song tentatively titled Silent Love. And while new karaoke songs are always welcome, this one might have some of the most genius cinematic inserts ever. Cause we have a Christmas Onomichio suit present, right around the holiday season. Thank you, RGG. Most of the other minigames were already present in the other Dragon Engine games, like Golf, Darts, Mahjong, the Sonic Fighters arcade game, and a wide array of Sega's retro titles that you could already try out in Lost Judgment by using the Sega Master System in Yagami's office. In regards to new additions to the engine, these included Pocket Circuits and a glorious return of the pool minigame. I just hope that the hellish AI doesn't return with it. And probably the coup de grace of this entire announcement, if you are a turn-based aficionado in the community, is the Like a Dragon 8 demo that will be included. Okay, first off, I love the fact that we have a repeat of what happened with Yakuza Kiwami, which also featured a demo for Yakuza 6, and this is just a perfect incentive to try these games out immediately. But beyond that, Yokoyama-san said that this package would even have some exclusive footage present, and I'll leave the extent of that exclusivity up to your imagination. It appears that you will have to beat Gaiden in order to have access to the demo, however, but frankly, that's all secondary to me. These 11 minutes of footage we got have just been a non-stop barrage of valuable info and utter visual grace. I'm not kidding when I say that I've replayed the trailer close to 100 times by now, as I was trying to write down the lyrics to the licensed track that played in the story segment, and even then, as I'm currently editing this footage, I'm still beyond excited with every frame that's being shown, like it's the first time that I'm actually seeing it. I can only imagine how excited a newcomer to the series would be, having just caught up to the main story in time for these announcements. This is partially why the second part of this video just had me name-dropping all of the minigames that were shown. If you just can't wait for Gaiden to drop, then you'll be happy to know that you can actually play many of the minigames present to prepare for the game's release. Or alternatively, you can just replay the trailer 1,000 times over and look for more footage that could be hidden in a single, sneaky frame. As for me, I'll probably be doing both. Thank you for joining me as I tried and failed to contain my excitement. I look forward to seeing you in the next Yakuza related video relatively soon. So, until next time, take care of yourselves and have a great day. Cheers!